Hello and welcome back to an episode of Banter Lawrence here. How are you all doing? If you're doing great. For today's episode, I want to talk about SPAC Nation. Pastor Tobi Adeboyega. Hey! Pastor Tobi is not internet ready. There's this guy, Bouncer, on YouTube. He just makes me laugh. He just gives me joy. Bouncer is talking about SPAC Nation. And he is making a whole lot of revelations. Now, BBC had done documentaries on SPAC Nations. A whole lot of conversations online. People had come out and given their experience about SPAC Nation and Pastor Tobi and his gang. According to people, allegedly, it's a cult. SPAC Nation is allegedly a cult. And they are running these things like, Pastor Tobi will come out and say, oh, he doesn't take offering. Him and his friend Daddy Freeze, who is his image manager or something like that. Because I listen, the only reason why we're still kind of even accommodating Pastor Tobi is because of Daddy Freeze, the way Daddy Freeze packages him, PT and all that. Pastor Tobi will come out and say that he doesn't take bribes. He doesn't take offering. Whether bribes or... Yeah, he takes bribes. So he said he doesn't take offerings. That why would people, how much? But what he does, he gets young people. Young, impressionable people who can easily be manipulated. Get them, show them all this lifestyle. I wear Richard Emily, this, that. This designer fake BS. He will entice these people. He would get them to get loans from banks. He would get them, the ones that are in school, he will collect their student loans. And then he will make them sow seed. Some of them weekly seed of 1,000, depending on what they're earning. Some of them is weekly seed of £100. Some of them £1,000 per week. One of his fellow pastor, who is kind of the chief organizer of this whole thing, I can't even remember her name. She had been investigated, done a documentary on for, I think Catch Me If You Can on BBC. Miriam. She's a scammer. This is Pastor Tobi's SPAC Nation pastor. We've had a footballer who came out and said that Pastor Tobi snatched his wife, took all he has. He's based in Turkey. A lot of people had come out. But we don't know. Even people are now calling out 50 Cent to come and do a documentary on SPAC Nation. To come and expose Pastor Tobi. Pastor Tobi traveled to, just for me to give you context. Because, sometimes I think he presents himself as somebody who had worked hard and become successful. Pastor Tobi moved to the UK in early 2000s. And then he came in as a visitor, so he couldn't work. So he had never worked. He was just scamming people, allegedly, doing different things, joining gangs, getting people, very manipulative. Then he got married to somebody who allegedly was earning about 6 figures. Then he sat down and then started scamming young people, collecting money from people. And Pastor Tobi today is wearing Richard Emily, wearing this one. He will say, let me call PT. Here under the freeze, I want to call PT. PT give. Don't envy what you have not, you don't understand. Don't envy what you don't understand. I know that the priest a lot of times to say, nobody knows that we think that all this his views online is what gives him money. That does not give him money. That he will never say what gives him money. It's because he's managing all these scammers. And they are paying heavily for it. Bouncer is pressing Pastor Tobi's neck. Pastor Tobi is not internet ready for bouncer. And I am happy that this is somebody who is not even Nigerian. He's, I think, Jamaican. He was in the UK. He's now in Dubai, and he is actively trying to save people. Actively making videos. And SPAC Nation are busy debunking, paying people. Don't envy anybody. Don't envy anybody. Anyway, I'm just going to play some of the videos from people talking about SPAC Nation and how SPAC Nation has affected their lives. Watch this.
I'm actually tired of hearing SPAC Nation come up on social media. I say I'm tired of it, but it's obviously good because people need to know about these friggin' terrible people. But the fact that they're still free and even still have the audacity to do what they're doing is a shock for me. Because if you don't know, SPAC Nation, a couple years ago, they were exposed. They're meant to be some sort of church, but it was just weird. It was a pyramid scheme. They were getting underage kids to take out loans that the adults were like basically spending their money. They were getting kids to leave their like parents' houses and come live with them in some big house and like just messing with them and taking advantage of them. The main pastor, Pastor Tobi, is apparently still free on these streets. I didn't even know the man was in London, but he's here because I've been seeing him in like concerts and shit. And yeah, but my problem is they've now started doing brunches for 13 to 16-year-old children in the name of female empowerment. I be children empowerment. I be women. It can't even be women empowerment because that's children. Oh, it's just predatory behavior. That's all that is. Because what is your business inside taking anyone's business inside taking 13 to 16-year-olds for brunch? What the fuck? Oh God, it's very disheartening to me because it's so easy for them to ruin really young kids' lives. And it's just mad that there are really people out there, a group of people who sit down and come up with these ideas. It's absolutely disgusting. And I see them come up on my stories on my TikTok from time to time, doing like, look what God has done for me, and doing, I came from the streets, now look at my big mansion. But it's despicable, disgusting money. If anything, as far as I'm concerned, even the the Dubai Porter Potty people, they are 100 times better than those people because they're not taking advantage of little children. If you want to not have a conscience, don't have a conscience and do it on your own. Involving kids, disgusting.
Guys, I'm not even gonna lie. SPAC Nation, aka Nation Family, is one of the most dangerous, prolific cults out there. There have been multiple panorama documentaries, survivors coming forward speaking out about horrific abuses that's been going on in there. Now, a young guy came out with a video basically saying that they had deceptively recruited him to come to this event and he thought that he was coming to perform. He didn't even say he didn't enjoy the event. He said he enjoyed it, but it was taking so long for them to let him perform. He also mentioned that they were doing up like church. It's like it's a deceptive way to recruit people, and he called it out. And he's not the only one. There's been quite a few people who have done videos talking about SPAC using these big glamorous events with all the smoke and mirrors and Lamborghinis parked outside and them all in their designer clothes because it's a Titanic, it's a sinking ship. They've only got a handful of people. It's become more like a family cult now, chair. So to supply the ego that Tobi needs, they need to put on these big events, because the reason people are not coming to SPAC is because because of Tobi, just so you know. You lot can go out and recruit and do whatever you're doing up, but as soon as they see that SPAC's name is on it and Tobi, people are running a mile. That's on period, point blank, chair. You lot can have all your strategy meetings that you do up on YouTube where you're like, oh, how do we get the people? You know, there's so much negativity going on about churches and cults. It's because of Tobi. It's because of Tobi. Cults are self-destructive and the malignant narcissistic leaders self-destruct, chair. So all I want to highlight and say is there's a lot of gal them in the comment, and especially the gals up. They got wicked hearts, especially these churchgoers, share. I've been so disappointed to see the young people. This is why we have the problem that we have. This generation is lost. That's why the mega church and all these fake apostles like Tyrone Jr. and Nagoni and all these man there are just literally duping people, child. They will lap up anything. I'm telling you, this generation, it's just been a lot of kids, like a lot of millennials that have had kids young, and they're a mess. They're a mess. They're a blood clot mess. And it shows in the comments. So Kings, take a note of the gal them that's commenting, child, because boy, these women have wicked hearts and they'll be pick me. I want to be aware for what, and look at them in the comments, child. I just want to say what's disgusted me is just a lot of the young people, how lost they are and how naive they are. And this is why cults recruit young, naive young people, because they're not seeing this as abuse. They're not seeing it as public humiliation. Their prefrontal cortex hasn't even finished forming, child. They can't conceptualize what's going on. So instead they turn it into a spectacle. And that's why these cults target young people. That's why they like them, because you're DUMB, young, naive and impressionable. My name's Leah Lauder, mega church cult survivor turned social justice activist. I speak facts on facts.
Hey babes, I've come to say something. The reason why Turnout Tobi, Mariam Mola, Jess RV and her demonic sermons and all the rest of the demon ordained pastors that come from SPAC Nation, the reason why they was able to entice you is because many of you are too blood clot red eye. You're too red eye for material things, designer things, luxury lifestyle, luxury establishments, but you are not addicted and not envious of hard work and dedication. And it says it, I'm sure it's in Leviticus, hard work and prayer go alongside each other for reward. Do you get it? So when some of you are red eye in what you're seeing, it makes no sense, because we already know people that have a certain type of financial stability, they have committed nefarious actions to get there, especially they have to go through unethical processes to ascertain that certain type of money and lifestyle. So what are you, Lord? You lot are getting signed out of your businesses because instead of you think about working yourself up and the fact that in life you have to build yourself up, you've allowed a little pussy to sell you the fact that in one sign of a paper you're going to have this luxury establishment. Now you've signed over your business. I get it. There's sympathy to a certain degree, especially for those of you that are extremely vulnerable. I don't know what is going on with this eye. Especially for those of you that are extremely vulnerable. But for the rest of you, you just sit and wallow in the blood clot pit that you're in because you're too blood clot red eye. And red eye causes situations like this for you to be in suffering, for you to experience the guilt and all of it. You know, it makes you physically feel it, physically feel the idiocracy that you put yourself in. Sake of being red eye. I don't know which scripture or prayer you ever heard that you just pray for it and then all of a sudden these materials come about. God didn't ever say he's going to provide us with materials. He didn't. Nothing in the Bible is anything you hear coming from that SPAC Nation. I've heard them talk about burying people that come against them. Fire and brimstone he could call down in the form of man. This is a man actually out there threatening people in his sermon. And you're wondering why you were duped. They're evil. Everything about it spews evilness. But because you were red eye, you didn't see.
Listen, 50 Cent, yeah? After that documentary on Diddy, there's one more documentary that us in the UK specifically need. We need a documentary on SPAC Nation. Because I don't know what is going on in that premises. I'm not even going to call it a church. I don't know what's going on that premises, but we need someone to uncover the truth on how they've grown so big and why they do the things that they do.